If my people, Bible reading, part 199, Book of Luke, and we are in chapter 17. I counted, and it's split in different factions, but it's so clear. There are 54 obvious Torah commands. And then there's an extenuation of that, and he adds to it, giving more examples. Still goes back to the 54 themes, so it's a total of like 61 to 67 commands that he gives. Yeah, yeah, that's, yeah, and yet he tells you in the book of Luke, hey, do you know the Ten Commandments? Do you hear and obey them? We're going to bring that up because it comes up in this segment here. Obey that because all the commands fit into two, and from those two expands it into 10, and out of those 10, there's 1,050 in the New Covenant now that gives you very specific instruction on what to do on a day-by-day basis. You don't have to break down one of the Ten Commandments going, now, what does that mean? And you can read it directly for yourself. You're supposed to be in the Word every day. So the disciples are starting to just drill down on Yeshua a little bit in chapter 17, and it continues on to the into the book of Luke. And he mentions in Torah, as we read, so watch yourselves if your brother sins, rebuke him, and so forth and so on. Forgive, forgive, forgive. And then remind them and remind yourself and tell them, I'm just a sinner just like you are, saved by the grace of Yeshua. Paul said that. And they keep saying, so they're worried about the kingdom coming, the kingdom coming. In verse 15 and chapter 17, one of them, when he saw he was healed, came back and was praising Master in a loud voice. Now that's about the 10 lepers. So Yeshua's not talking about the 10 lepers. He's talking about the kingdom to come that we're in now. So those who claim themselves to be Christians, who walk the life and talk the life and hear and obey, he's exempling them to the 10 lepers. He took care of all of them. Just exactly what the lepers wanted. He gave them exactly what they wanted. But which ones continued to hear and obey the word? 1 out of 10. That's a remnant. That's 10%. All of Yeshua's examples of those who finally come out to the end is a remnant. Many of his examples are multiplied. There's one you get 20. There's one you get 50. There's one you get 100 in multiplication on what you're capable of doing. As I've said before, you take one penny and you put it on a chessboard in one of those little squares, and the next one is 2, and the next one is 4, and the next one is 8, 16, okay, 32, you get it. When by the time you get in the chessboard, you can say, hey, mister, I'll give you a check for $100,000 cash, or you can take the coins that I put, the pennies that I put on this chessboard. Which do you want? You want the chessboard. There's a whole lot more money on that chessboard than whatever you were just offered. Even though it starts off with a penny. That's how Yeshua explains the kingdom that could be if you hear and obey. So it doesn't take you much to make a difference in this world. Just one person at a time. Okay? That's what that's all about. But he explains it in the days of Noah. And I've explained it throughout this word here. In the days of Noah, just as it was in the beginning, the world was corrupted in the first earth age. That's before Adam and Eve. And then it was corrupted when Adam and Eve came. And then it was corrupted through Cain, through the seed, because of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil and all that went with it. It went into the seed. The seed. You are the seed. The word is the seed throughout the Bible. And in the last days, today, how do we know that happened in the first to second, and now we're in the third earth age? Well, it happened because what's going on today with the DNA manipulation. Why is it that you can grow corn and then next year the corn that falls in the field doesn't grow up anymore? Does it? Does almost all ADM, we feed the world. DeKalb, Pioneer Feed, great stuff. There's only one place in this world that I know of that is somewhere in Finland and Norway. There's some ice castles up there, and inside these ice castles, it's a real thing, ice castles, are seeds that have not been GMO, not been not alternated through DNA. They're genetically not modified organisms. And yes, if you plant that corn year after year, you don't have to go to the store to buy corn no more. All that's taken away from mankind. everything out there these days says, well, this is non-GMO manipulated. That is not true. If something's been genetically altered and you stop messing with it, and 5 generations of corn later, it's still genetically modified. And you're putting that in your children's and your gut. And that gut is getting into your DNA. And you wonder why 40 to 45% of women can't have babies now without cesarean sections. You wonder why there's all these diseases and people have all these issues with their health and they're trying to eat good food every day. That's what Yeshua's talking about in chapter 17 of Luke. He's talking about in the last days, all this evil messing around with people, altering the animals, altering the water, and then blaming everybody and everything on humans and the need to get rid of human beings on this earth, not add to it. You remember in the millennium, Yeshua will be healing all the nations. He will be healing all the nations, not murdering them and eliminating them as Bill Gates and all those other people. And the Georgia Stone information, look up the Georgia Stone. It's all there for you. The one thing about evil people, they're extremely arrogant and stupid. So they show their cards, and they can never invent anything. They just alter and cheat and lie and steal and plagiarize. So they're easy to figure out. It talks about Lot's wife, Sodom and Gomorrah. What was going on? What is the thing in Sodom and Gomorrah? Number one, which people don't talk about, is obesity, overeating, overindulgence, doing stuff that it must be time to eat. Well, are you hungry? No, but it must be time to eat. And then the other one, sexual deviant behavior. We've gone through that. It's unbelievable. And Yeshua says, don't do these things. If you're born that way, made that way, and you made that choice that way, or man did that to you, don't do that, even though you think and you feel that you want to do these things because, I don't know. It's wrong. Don't do it. If you do it, all the condemnation from Yahweh comes down on you like you will never know, like Sodom and Gomorrah. So now we're into chapter 19. By the way, in chapter 18, verse 23, 24, 25, that's that parable of the rich man entering the kingdom, the camel going through the needle's eye. Remember me telling you about that? Chapter 19 is the 6th day before Passover, the 9th day of Nisan, Thursday, sunset to Friday sunset. It's beginning to lay out in Luke the entire last 6 days of Yeshua's passion before his crucifixion. It's all there for you. It lets you know that he ate at 3 different homes, and the last place he had was the Last Supper. So you're thinking, why is it called the Last Supper? Because he died. Actually, it's telling you he had a supper here, then the next day he had a supper there, the next day he had a supper there, and it tells you where, and then this is where he had his Last Supper, which actually was the evening of the evening before, which means it was Passover. So instead of the next day being Passover, he started it, and he was having a Last Supper and communion with his disciples in the evening of Tuesday, which is Wednesday, which is becoming a high holy day, the high Shabbat Passover. Okay, just bring that up again. There it is, plain and simple for you. More Torah, chapter 21. But make up your mind not to worry beforehand how you will defend yourselves when you go into court. Now, talk about going to court through, let's go back to verse 8 so you understand it. He replied, watch out that you're not deceived, for many will come in my name, claiming I am he, and the time is near. Do not follow them. When you hear wars, revolutions, rumors of wars, do not be frightened. These things must happen first, but the end will not come right away. And verse 14, but make up your mind not to worry beforehand how you will defend yourselves. If you're no longer allowed in a church because of things that I've said and you're repeating it because you believe it, you're okay. It doesn't mean you failed. So many pastors say this, so many people have left God. They left you. They left you and your pagan religion. They didn't leave God. Just the opposite of what the Christian institutionalized pastors say on a weekly basis. When they open their mouth, they're starting to lie. Now we get into the Passover. And as I mentioned, when you read this, chapters 22, 23, he's been to Zacchaeus' house. He's been to Bethany. He's been to Bethlehem. He's been to the temple 3 times. 2 times he tipped over the tables. He has come into Jerusalem, and he's twice. He's come once on a donkey and then once on a donkey and a foal. So he's been there twice. Yes, twice. And he's been in this ministry for 18 months, not 3 years. 18 months when you add up, just simply add up where he goes. Look at the 4 Gospels. Hello, there it is. And then he has this entire Passover with him. So he is taking his Last Supper with him, his last Passover. But he puts in the communion because he ends the blood sacrifice saying, this is my blood, which you are taking in you. So where's the kingdom of Yahweh from this point on? It is in you because you're taking communion. When you take communion once a year during Passover, not Easter bunnies and all that stuff, during Passover, the kingdom of Yahweh is near because it's in you. It's pretty near. When something's in you, that's pretty near. Listen to what he's saying. And all this communion is what you do representing the blood. No more blood sacrificing, no more temple to build, no more place on the Dome of the Rock to get upset with the Muslims and the Arabs, Saudi Arabia. You cannot go to Mount Sinai, which is in Mount Yabaz. It's in Saudi Arabia. It's not in Sinai, the pointed out Sinai today. It's in the Sinai Median area, which is in Saudi Arabia. You can't go there. And the original Temple Mount was plowed under, which is now a highway north of the Ophah area, which is south of the Dome of the Rock. There's a highway there, so you can't go there. There's a highway there. It's been plowed under just like it was written it was going to be. So don't go try to put something that you can't put in there because it will never be put in there. The kingdom of Yahweh is in your heart. The temple is in your heart. And that's how you end Luke. That's how you can end it there. With this, I count them, 61 really comfortable, meant to be understood Torah commands. I can spend all day long with my Hebrew Messianic friends and arguing about what's Torah in the Old Covenant. But we never come up to a conclusion, ever, in all these years. But I can sit there and then you can sit there and read the Torah I just gave you and all of it from the New Covenant on so far that we are at. And you can say, yes, that is an instruction that is given from Paul, that is given through Yeshua. Yeshua gives everything. It comes through the Ruach, it comes through the Father, and it comes through Paul and others that were given this divine instruction. It is Torah instruction. So next is Ephesians. Ephesians is next. Start your reading in that. I hope that you are now beginning to grow strong in the Word. Don't worry about anything. The only adversary to worry about is Hasatan and his ability to take your soul. You don't want it. You can rebuff him using the Word against him. Amen, brother. Amen, sister. And we'll see you all in the next one.